deed to South Fork, yes. Isn't it interesting that this actual land deed to the South Fork, fiefdom seems to be something of a liquid entity. The deed to the South Fork Ranch and properties is not as laid down in stone as it might be.
Does it mean these are sort of up for grabs?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And while they are not, I play them.
Cool. Yeah.
All the rules we will deal with as we go. This is just learning in action. Let's get some fictional notions available. This is what is on the general information. JR has had a nice vacation and trip to Mexico. Sue Ellen is investing in a boutique with Western wear. And Bobby has been very busy, having gained some assets for the company, right? While JR is screwing around doing who knows what. And then let's see. Jock just seems like he's approving of this, but has his own issues that you know about. And then Ellie would like to increase the range and to buy the farm. Stud farm means the male horses who are used for reproduction, so it's a valuable asset, and why not just buy it instead of paying this dude to keep fertilizing your horses. And Ray is very appreciative of this, right? You are very much the ranching son, not the ranching associate of the family. And so anybody who looks at the ages here will raise an eyebrow about Ray's presence and Jock's very much favoring him as the ranching son. But that's all we get. And so then, let's see here. So you and Ellie are doing great on this. Oh, look, horses. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, now, what else here? The guy who owns that? Yeah. He wants to keep the oil rights and mineral rights that are in that property. He'll sell you the stud farm, but not the rights to the land resources. Let's see here. Pam seems to be keeping herself happy as a gentry wife, right? Nothing too special. Somewhat like Jock, her concerns at the moment are private. And finally, Lucy, as a good student should, has made up her credits in college with a summer course in climatology, and then went off to surf in roughly the same area that JR has been vacationing. Hey, how was your week surfing, Lucy?
Great. I had a blast surfing, and there was a lot of nice people there. We had really good time in the sun.
The femme who's ever asking that knows better than to ask the next question. Then, Cliff is knowledgeable of shock, shady deregulation of ecological protections all through the coastline of the state. So that is with all sorts of oils and minerals and possibilities and ports and things that could be opened up to oil interests would then be created at the expense of natural habitat and indigenous rights and many other things. Are we oriented? As we move into our first scene of play, the first scene of play concerns let's see. the way, what I should really say is the way that look at you, hooray, first prop, excellent. So the sequence of play is largely driven by character activity. And character activity at this point is going to be a little bit open, right? You will have to speak up when you want your character to do things. I will be sort of setting locations, and you can sort of logically decide whether your character is there or arrives at some point, or is just out of that picture. But don't forget, you are playing everybody in front of you. And if you want any of them to do anything, you just say so. By the way, there are victory conditions. You all have seen your victory conditions, correct? Yeah. Those are the cards that your character will need in order to achieve their basic goals. Some of those goals are simply to keep everyone else ignorant of something, and some of those goals are to achieve something specific. Right now, I am talking about down along the coast.
All right.
So those are the caves, but reading this block is very confusing.
Yes.
If you flip over the page, it is burst out for your character alone.
Okay.
So that's the way to do it. Yeah.
That one I read already.
On the back of the there. Yeah.
So these are like different scenarios here.
Yes. Yeah, correct. So on the page that has general information on the front for this episode, on the back it has the victory conditions for you on this episode. And a little bit of what I just summarized, you will find that I am working from the text about your character. Are we good?
And then you talked about these being up for grabs.
Yes.
How does a grabbing work?
We will learn by doing.
We will learn.
You learn by
Fair
doing.
enough.
At the moment when you want to have the local press work for you instead of for me, which means I am basically making everyone's life miserable.
Yep.
Or if you need the big local press for your victory condition, then you're going to want to get that card. And you will have to get that card through the action of a fictional character or organization. They have to do something to get that. Here is where we start to move into some rules that you should at least know even before we start the conflict resolution. These 3 tokens per scene, those are your 3 actions for any conflictual activity. You can interact all you want to, but you have 3 direct punches into the system. And you may use them to either affect, it's called affecting, right? And that will change up someone's cards or force them to flip a card or to grab one of these or anything like that. Or you can protect one of your cards. You can use one of your tokens and you will set it on top of one of your cards. And that means it will have a bonus to be affected, to prevent being affected. So by the time we are done with the negotiations, you should probably decide whom you want to protect. And as you can see, that will reduce your ability to go and affect things. So when you affect something, once that character has done so, your main character or any of the things in front of you, once you have affected something, then that character is not available to affect anything else. So JR cannot run around, affecting things directly 3 times. It has to be 3 different cards that are used to act, if he's not protecting you. Is that relatively clear, right?
Yeah.
That's what those are for.
So can I also, for example, protect and have the same character act?
Yes, you can. Yeah. And another interesting point too is that you have these things called power markers. It says here for you, for example, Ellie has 4 power. So you should write a big 4 next to her or on your sheet somewhere. Okay, and write a big 4 somewhere on your papers. And well, not 4, but whatever your power is. Do you see the power?
Yes.
Yeah. That is how many power markers you get per turn.
I'm noticing a small discrepancy between them, the characters in Power Markers.
That is correct.
Especially when looking at J.R. Ewing.
It's always
Yes.
as it should be.
Maybe Lucy?
I'm going to begin with the offices of the Ewing Oil Association, with one of Jock's visits to come wandering around, seeing how it's going. Some new secretary said, "Who's that?" And some other secretary, an older one, says, "That's the boss." And knowing that he's doing that, I'm sure that Bobby and JR will make sure to be on point, just in case the old man has some decision, right, that is not to their liking, or perhaps to curry favor or something. Now, who else feels like they might be logically dropping by or in the region? I can think of a couple of other scenes to set. I can see that there are a few things that are going on politically minded characters. There's another place and time during the day that is happening at the same time.
Where were we now? What scene? Was it the ranch or?
On the Ewing
Sorry.
Oil Company.
You know of it.
Well, I'm actually setting
too many.
different places.
Yeah.
I'm trying to set different places right now where
Yeah.
different characters could be.
Perfect.
And another place is at the hearings of the Texas Railroad Commission, which also is taking into account, as we will play, several different developments.
Yeah.
So potentially Cliff could be there. Cliff is not exactly welcome or appropriate to go wandering around the Ewing Oil Company office building, right? So, unless he's there for some newspapery reason, and then they call the police. But so the point is that's somewhere where you could be.
Yeah.
Don't forget too that your characters can be proactive. If you want to say, forget all that nonsense, I'm doing this, tell me.
Yep.
I have a question. The
Yeah.
Texas Railroad Commission is trying to seize and get control of the oil.
Well, it is, they're having hearings. Well, see, I'd like to play, right? I'd like to.
Yeah, it is,
Right.
understand why.
Yeah, so if we are at the hearings, I get to play at the moment. Oh, wait, yes, I am playing the Texas Oil Railroad Commission. I will tell you what they say in play.
In play, right? Yeah.
So right now I'm just kind of we are looking at some establishing shots, right, of where our attention shall be driven. There's one other, and that is at a boundary of the Ewing Range, where horses can go clippity-clop, and the boundary of Jim Lowe's range, which actually has a bit of a border area fenced off. Inside he's got another fence, which means that and that actually has somebody riding along every so often with a rifle for rattlesnakes, of course, to keep an eye, to keep an eye on that border. And then also they are, but it is possible from the Ewing's place to at least observe some of Jim Lowe's range and stallions. You could also see perhaps people exercising them and things like that. They're not really riding horses, so they would be ridden only casually or walked. Somebody could be walking them and letting them off the rope and letting them run around, and then then they on their horse would round them up again and take them back to their nice padded, air-conditioned, keep the sperm count high stables. So that is so that's a place, right? And obviously Ray and Ellie might have ridden out. Ellie, in her late 50s is perfectly capable of throwing a leg over a horse, right, Tommy?
Oh.
And riding out with the best of them. So
Yeah.
these are my thoughts on where people are. If you want to be somewhere else, you say it and we will have another place. They are not necessarily happening at the exact same times, but that does not really matter for our parts as we sort of just crisscross around it.
We have 3 actions that can be used to protect someone or to do something.
Well,
And we have
yes,
the 4 power, which are
power
used to
markers
boost-
were bonuses.
which are used to boost things.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Yes.
But for purposes of this phase of play, you are unlimited because we are not hitting the dice in this phase of play. So there is no particular reason to limit yourself in your interactions at this time. Perhaps throughout many interactions, you will decide which one are going to be worth putting your turn markers into. So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay, I have, by request, I will speak first regarding what is happening at that Railroad Commission conference. You are playing Cliff?
I'm obviously.
Bobby, okay. So, Bobby, do you think you would be like listening in on it? Like have a little TV in your office as well?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like a Bobby thing to do, right? Yeah. So therefore, Cliff, I imagine that you could be there.
Yeah.
And at these hearings, these are public hearings, so you have this amphitheater. It is not quite as comfy as it would be today. The seats are a little bit more makeshift, more like these, and it's more like a community center or part of the civic building, which just means a big empty flat room. The overhead projector is the transparencies are not exactly, these perfect graphics and things like that. Somebody puts up a black and white graphic that some intern actually had to paste and then Xerox onto the thing on the new Xerox machines. So yeah, and it's in a room that doesn't have the right lighting for that screen.
Right.
So, and also you would think that the community, the citizens, and the democratically functioning populace of Dallas would come to these hearings, which have everything to do with the economics and the consequences for the region. Well, there's 7 people sitting in the 50 seats. So all of these people are meeting, at the main table up front to have this discussion and calling up there are people who have been required to be here at the hearing. So with that, let's see. Look at your character. Oh, of course. Look at your characters. Is there anyone who should be there? Look at your people. Is there anyone who you think would be involved with these hearings?
What exactly was the hearing?
Yes, I did not quite play that. Let's clarify a little bit more as the hearings open regarding what they call oil depletion allowances, and that is how much different companies are allowed to extract from their oil from their land for this drilling season. There is a limit that is set to how much you can pull out. And in ecologically sensitive areas or in publicly owned areas, public-private partnership, right? Those are very strict.
Are you meaning if from the list, which people you think is?
From your cards.
From my
I definitely think.
See, look at your card, that your upside down guy there. Yes, you can play that character. If you think that character is involved in any of the places, you start playing them, right?
Senator Ben Tucker is definitely there.
Aha, yes, aha.
Grant Whitcomb, which is attorney.
Okay, yeah, U.S. attorney, I think, right? Now that's important. Welcome to the United States. There are federal officers and tax agencies and representatives and departments and everything. And then there are the equivalents in the state. So there's a parallel governmental system that goes all the way down to the police. And then finally, Texas, unlike the other states, they do really, there is a real firewall between those. They're very antagonistic when their functions overlap, much more so than other states. So you're a federal attorney.
Oh, okay.
Right. So therefore you're the state attorney, and you make deals, or it's,
Yeah.
or there's a real conflict there. Who has Kate Rupshorn? Anybody? Or do I? I have Kate Rupshorn. Kate Rupshorn works for the state attorney's office. She is definitely going to be there. In
I
fact,
can
yeah.
say that the character I have, which was hidden until now.
You can flip it
yeah.
if you want to make them interact. Yeah.
Katie Rolls is almost definitely there.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so Cliff is sitting among looking at up there and sitting among some heavy hitters of the Dallas political scene, right? So oil depletion allowances,
It's now a situation where they are decided, or where they are like, where they have decided before, and now they are just telling them.
well, they are renegotiating. That's what a hearing is you're getting the public opinion, which usually means people like this are making, some of them are officially there to give a statement. Other people have attended because they are going to surprisingly make their statement.